us understand what he has been talking about, that money has been lost. Why would anybody in his rightful senses stop him from proceeding to give that evidence? That was our gist, and we were asking our colleagues in the Jubilee, this is not something that we can easily just jump into it. Let Raila proceed to produce what he has. And that is a question any layman that has a good intention for this country should be able to ask. Don't stop anybody who proposes to have an evidence from proceeding to the last point.
But has anybody stopped him from giving any evidence that requires? If anything, the offices have been open for him to walk in and give whatever evidence he has.
My colleagues began to fight him in the media. Why would you fight him? Over what? Allow him to proceed to go to EACC or come to the open. But if you divert the attention to look like it's a war between CORD and the Jubilee, I don't think that is right. And that's the position we have, that we should allow anybody, not only Raila alone, anybody who imagines or who thinks he has anything to produce regarding something that is very pertinent to the people of Kenya, let him proceed. We will stand by that.
All right. Olga, do you feel like the opposition leader has been fought by Jubilee not to give evidence of or any information that he may have regarding the Eurobond?
Not just regarding the Eurobond, Mike. There has been a consistent, deliberate effort, so to speak. It has become a pattern in this country in which whenever the opposition raises some questions concerning pertinent issues like corruption in this country, the government side, the Jubilee side, have always taken a defensive front, and they've always fought, even when we say we have evidence. I was here in your studio many times, and we talked about NYS. We started saying NYS, so much money to the tune of 1 billion has been stolen. We were told you are lying. You are accusing people wrongly. Today, NYS is a serious problem. As we speak now, there are people who are taken into NYS, some of them from Senator Lonyangapuo home constituency or county, some of them from her county, who were recruited, young people who were recruited last year. They were supposed to have, is it graduate or pass out by sometimes in October. As we speak now, the young people are locked into NYS training because there is no money even to graduate them, and there's no money to give them. So the same story is happening even now as we talk about Eurobond. And what I wish Kenyans would realize is that I wish we could separate politics from the issues of our country. When we say corruption has happened to the magnitude of losing 140 billion, no Kenyan can escape the economic and financial suffering that can come or that we are already experiencing as a result of this money. Whether you are in Jubilee or you are in CORD, we must be able to fight evils in the society as a Kenyan, not as opposition and government. And I think that is what the senators were trying to say yesterday, if I'm not wrong. So yes, we are being fought. We have even been, our party leader, the Prime Minister, has been told to go and record statements, as though the government does not have machineries to be able to investigate and reveal to the people of Kenya that their monies have been stolen.
All right, Senator Beatrice Elachi, is Jubilee fighting the opposition simply to cover up?
Thank you, Mike. First, I want to thank you and thank KTN, because I think we've talked about this for now a year. And one of the things we talked about, if you remember, is saying that it is time we just deal with corruption. If you are corrupt, we freeze your assets, and you just return money to government, because I think time has come. Kenyans are tired. I'm also tired seeing people in court. You stay for 7, 8 months. Your case is still there, yet you took out money. People know you build things. It's a matter of just taking these assets and taking it back to the public or the government, or sell it off and bring back the money. And I hope when the president says that, he says it and he will do it. I know today we are here because of Eurobond. And for me, let us now talk to the layman to understand this Eurobond. Because we are saying, at first, why did you go for the money? You looked at the country at that time. There were loans that were needed to be paid, and you didn't have money, so you went. As any other, the Constitution gives you, Article 206 is very clear, the Public Management Finance Act, the Article 7 is there. It clearly gives the right of the framework, a legal framework on how you can just go and borrow the money. That is what Kenya did. They went to the US, borrowed the money. At first, we borrowed money, and I think it was borrowed 2 times. So there was the first figures that were borrowed. There was the second figure of 750 million USD. So the first was 2 million USD, which when you bring it back home, it translates back to 175 billion. So you go back and you borrow 750 USD, you translate it back, it comes to a total of 250 billion. Within those proceeds of Eurobond, in the second batch, they were able to get a bonus of $65 million, which comes into that figure. After that, it becomes a domestic debt. The moment you put it in JP Morgan and Chase Bank, and within the whole process, you have very critical banks that people trust. That is Barclays, the Standard, is Chase Bank. They are the ones who float it. You borrow, if you buy it from them, you give them your interest, you clear with them, which is a very small interest. So you can't, even if you count within the money, when you look at the whole process, it was like 22 million Kenyan shillings that they took as their interest. So you come back home. The moment central bank now requests the money to come in, it becomes a domestic debt. Therefore, the issue of Eurobond goes. Now we deal with our money here. We decide as government that we have borrowed money. The first thing the government did was to pay what they are calling the stagnant loan.
Which had already matured and needed to be
It had
paid.
matured. That is 53 billion now goes. The loan that was for the Grand Coalition. Within that process again, the Grand Coalition had signed of projects, which I know some of them are the roads in Kakamega, the roads, all these roads that are now, the contractors are wondering what we do for 2 years. We are stuck. 120 billion is supposed now to go within that because you had already contracted. So 120 goes. You remain with your money now to put it into the ministries. Now when you look at how the budget, the controller of budget has signed, all the monies are very clear. Very clear. It's a document where you can just read. The 140 billion, which now my former prime minister is talking about, is part of it. And when you look where the 140 billion is, you will wonder, how do you lose 140? 196 is remaining. You take it now to the ministries. And each ministry now has to account on what they got.
Okay.
Now, if we want to talk there now, and I'll agree with Kenyans, there is where we put the debate.
So
And ask the ministries, can you tell us? If it's the Ministry of Infrastructure, tell us which were the projects. How did you utilize this money? But you know, it's also very difficult. I mean, sometimes we come economically, now you need experts to guide us. Because don't forget, you have also your own domestic monies from the revenue you've collected that you put in. Therefore, that is where now you look and you decide. So for anyone to come now and argue about the money of Eurobond, you'll be misleading Kenyans because already when it's domestic, you have mixed with your own money. What we need now is the ministries to tell us, and I cannot cover up for that.
All right.
I will wish the ministries now can come and the CSS will say, I received this. For him to tell you this is Eurobond and this is my domestic money will be a big challenge. It's very difficult to
So are you
separate.
saying that the opposition leader, Raila Odinga, is like, to use a statement that was used yesterday by Eden Dwale, it's hot air when it comes to now the 140 billion Kenyan shillings?
Now, when we come to the 140 billion shillings, I won't say it's hot air. I would say you are misleading Kenyans. And if it will be very, very, I mean, for me, if I was the former Prime Minister, I just put on the table and say, look, the 140 billion I'm saying is lost within this and this and this. That way, you'll have helped Kenyans. Because we are saying, the other thing we are saying is there are a lot of politics behind it. A lot of politics. And I've always said, and you know, Mike, that I always come here and say, until you deal with this way of doing business that Kenyans created, where you have to have an agent in the big deals now, and you have to have somebody who pushes, and this person has to come back and share these proceeds that you have gotten. Until we clear that cartel system, we will always have problems with big projects. And that is why now the Prime Minister feels very disappointed. Why? Within the Eurobond, we were supposed to ensure we give money to the Greenfield project, which is his project, because the agent of the project is a good friend of him. Then we were supposed to ensure the light train that was supposed to go within town has some money. And that same NYS, they were supposed to supply equipment worth 16 billion.
Okay.
Now, when you start that fight, the politics are very tough and it's hot.
Okay.
That's when it becomes
Olga,
hot.
I'll come back to you before I come to Senator Lonyangapuo. And what is so difficult about the Prime Minister, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, putting on the table whatever facts he has? It's 140 billion Kenyan shillings, because again, we're dealing with a majority of Kenyans who may not understand all these figures being thrown left, right, and center. But if you take 140 billion Kenyan shillings and say this amount was spent, and we can see it was spent A, B, C, D, this, tell us where it is. What's so difficult about that?
There's nothing difficult. If you remember, not long ago, the Prime Minister promised Kenyans that in a few weeks to come, he will be releasing even the names and the accounts of the individuals who stole the proceeds that should have come from abroad, the money that she's trying to explain to this country, the money that are now being said could have gone through agents, could have gone through what he has actually promised. But before that, the Prime Minister has asked the Ministry of the Treasury and even sometimes Central Bank to give some facts. Even these ministries, which we are now told were given money, she's saying they may not be able to explain. But she's not aware that we are in Kenya, and Kenyans are also tired. Just the way she's tired, we're actually all tired about corruption. And today, as we speak, there are Kenyans public servants who are being told to retract their accounts to show that they received some money to cover up for this Eurobond. And all that is going to come out because Kenyans are tired. So he has not refused. What he has said is, can we get the evidence from our systems so that he can now produce his to tally and to prove? Because if today the Prime Minister was to give the evidence that he has, what is going to happen is that books are going to be cooked. We know Kenya. Books are going to be cooked, and all these things will be covered. So we want the facts. In fact, last week, there was it last week or early this week, there was a press release by the civil society. And I saw, like she said, a senior economist in this country, David D., giving facts that showed that as we speak today, the report in Treasury, from Treasury, the report from Central Bank, the report in the Auditor General's account, and all the reports do not tally at all. All of them show inconsistencies. These are reports, analysis by economists. And they have shown that this money did not come. But even for us, you know, Kenyans who are not finance experts, if indeed that money had landed in this country, for heaven's sake, would our shilling depreciate the way it has depreciated? There was a time it was trading, our shilling was at about 110. How could dollars in terms of billions land into Kenya, and then our shilling is still depreciating, and yet we have a lot of dollars in circulation?
All right.
The reality is the money was stolen.
All right, John Lonyangapuo, is it possible to separate politics and facts and figures? Because at the end of the day, we do know that 2017 is round the corner. And of course, everybody is going to push their end to ensure that they try and get to government or to take up 2017. Is it possible for Kenyans to actually separate politics and facts and figures and advise the electorate what is the truth?
It is very possible, Michael, and especially for matters that are very sensitive, such as this. Money was borrowed for an activity that had been identified by this government. And who is the custodian? The National Treasury and the Central Bank. An allegation has been given by the people that have the mandate of making noise and criticizing the government. Who are they? The opposition. What is so difficult for the government, and particularly the relevant department, to print the expenditure and where they expended or not, and the intended purpose of each, for people to see? Then if the Prime Minister, former Prime Minister, has any evidence now, he can table it. So we should not be treated to some drama where all of us are going to be told, you are code, you are a Jubilee. We refuse to enter into that game because we are saying, why are we being summoned? You know, yesterday there was a summon to Jubilee parliamentarians.
For press conference?
For a press conference, so that you know how to speak for government. The government has them out. You know, there are things, if the facts come out.
So you're saying the summon was for coaching on how to...
Yes, and I think they went for 2 hours to be coached inside the boardroom.
Beatrice, were you there for the coaching?
Yes, I was there, and
Yeah.
I will just answer mine.
So you wait. So can we...
We'll see whether you're going to whip him.
Yeah.
Of course, yes.
You see, we were elected so that we can make this government. You remember Kenyans trusted the Jubilee government 100% to lead. And they are allowed by law to take steps such as the ones they took, even to borrow in order to proceed to enable the country to move forward. It's not a sin, it's allowed. But how you spend it should not be an agenda where you hide. To the extent you call people and say, let us go and stop our government from being attacked. There's nothing like that. We should allow anybody who has any information to bring it forward. We should also be transparent in the nature of the way we are managing things. In the year 2008, I became the first PS for industrialization. Then inside that, there exists a parastatal called East African Portland Cement that borrowed money from the Japanese government as an institution. That money has become like a thorn in the flesh of that parastatal to date. You have never had East African Portland Cement making profit because they are all the time paying it until we requested Treasury, please step in and take over this loan or stop it. So there are some things that if we ask, so we must be willing to give facts. And we should also be, as a nation, be asking ourselves as an individual, how much loan can you borrow? How much loan can you sustain in borrowing yourself? External debts and internal debts.
Okay.
So as a nation, we should be able to balance this and don't hide.
All right. As a member of government, are you saying that Treasury is not coming out clean on the Eurobond monies?
They should. Have not seen it. As member of government, I am disappointed. They should come out.
There's a press release that they've given. Also on their website, there is facts and figures, questions asked and questions answered. Are you saying that is not satisfactory for you?
I have not seen it. And if they have, they should have submitted to all their representatives. They should have given to every MP, every senator of Jubilee, and then now we can be able to understand. But not to be called, no, there's a problem with the right, let us come and block it.
Okay. You Senator Beatrice Elachi and also Government Chief Whip, tell us about the coaching on how to deal with criticism.
Well, you cannot coach a politician. You can't. That is why he has a right and to go and do his own press conference and give his opinion. He's the senator of Pokot. At that time, I believe he does it in that capacity. Yes. So there's no way you can coach members of parliament. All we did was to call them, sit, and we have lunch. Then we go and do the press statement. That is what we did. But I know members raised a lot of questions, which was good. I mean, they are also tired, they are also wondering, and therefore, as a Kenyan, they believe, let us ask questions, and they did ask very, very critical questions, and we answered some of them. Some of them we said, just the way Senator Lonyangapuo is saying, it is Treasury to answer. But I think after Treasury gives the money, you know, we need to also separate the two. And if we want to help Kenyans, it's good to say that from the Treasury part, from the budget controller, the Treasury part, the central bank, and the Auditor General, I think they've done their duty. And now they have given responsibilities to the next level, which is the ministries that we have. And for us, anyone now who wants to criticize, I think it is good now you go per ministry. Look at, for example, infrastructure, ask yourself what infrastructure was given, they tell you, and then the CS comes out clear to say, within infrastructure, I received this. I have project X, this one, go and check. I have project this, that way. That way, now we will tone down from the politics, because I think the other thing we need to ask ourselves, and I'm saying it as Beatrice Elachi, is that there's this script we have created as politicians. I think the country has had very good key leaders come in. But what have we done as politicians? We have decided we will damage the image of our country regardless. And therefore, within a week when we had Obama come in, we played politics until the world could not understand, is it the Kenya Obama was in or not? The Pope has come. After the Pope,
here we are at it again.
Here we are, we have destroyed. Nobody will remember Pope came, he told us this. No. I think the opposition has made it as a script, just damage, damage. And we are asking, for me now, I'm asking myself, when I see my daughters and my brothers and my sisters, and I know Olga also, in the US, in the UK, struggling, that diaspora is suffering because of politicians who are playing this dirty politics. Because when you walk into an office and your country is on Al Jazeera, and then you have your passport, it's written Kenya, ask yourself what that Kenya goes through when he's looking for that job. Okay. And I think we need now to ask ourselves, this is our country. There's no any other country. You don't compare me with Magufuli and Tanzania. Their constitution is very clear. It has a very good powers for the president, who cannot just wake up today and start firing people. Our constitution does not allow
that.
Yes.
Okay.
So
but
we must look at many things and say, and I know he's going to act, and at one point, you will hear Kenyans again crying.
Okay, we'll come to the fight on corruption, because that's another debate that we need to have. But just before I go to Olga, as much as you say that the opposition possibly comes out to attack every single time, but even looking at the press conference we had yesterday from Jubilee, it's literally in response to what the Prime Minister had to say, and a degree of mudslinging, and saying that the reason why he is making noises A, B, C, D. Wouldn't we rather just be silent and continue? If at all it is true, it will come to the surface.
Yeah, but now it has come to the surface. So how will it come if we will not say? Now it has come to the surface. Did anyone know? No. It is because sometimes we respect those things. You keep it quiet, you leave. But if you continue bashing, then the truth has to come out on why we are fighting this thing. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why it was put. And it was not mudslinging on. I mean, it is there.
They're just facts. As far as we're concerned, those are facts.
They are facts, yes.
Okay.
You go, you'll get the projects. I mean, you remember very well when we were opening, establishing and ensuring now the green field contract is on. What happened during the launch? He came, he spoke. That was the only project the former Prime Minister within the Jubilee government who really wanted to speak. Why?
Okay, questions asked. Yes, John
Michael, we have a problem as Kenyans, and it is very dangerous. If we know somebody has done a mistake, why do we just keep it because he's not attacking us? We wait until when he has discovered you have a weakness and he's trying to point that weakness. That's when we say, even you, those days, you had this ABCD. As long as we have that culture, we will never kill corruption. It will continue to germinate because your neighbor knows. Then it just says, as long as nobody else has seen it, I'll keep it to a later date. We were all in government, in the previous government. There was no other government. It was called Grand Coalition Government. Opposition and government mixed. So if they were all there, what was the issue? What was the problem? I mean, a government had to do, if they borrowed, a government had to do, start projects. And we can't just come now and say we criticize those ones just because this one is being mentioned. In my time as a leader, I should handle what I have to the extent that it should not derail where we are going as a nation.
Okay, yeah. Olga, the opposition attacking and mudslinging regardless of the ultimate damage that we may do to the country.
You know, there is something that I think we need to make it very clear. The opposition is constitutionally allowed to check the government.
Yeah.
We actually receive funds, even though this year and last year, the resources that are constitutionally allocated to the constitution, to the opposition were reduced. But that is beside the matter. The fact is this: we receive finance from public coffers to sustain the opposition and to do just what we are doing. So I don't know what we were expected to do, to receive money from the government and sit back and watch them do whatever they are doing, destroy the country. The whole purpose of having multi-party was to have a mainstream party in government and an opposition to check the government.
I think the issue
and that
here,
is what we are doing.
The issue here is not the fact that they're keeping government in check, but how it's done. The fact that it may cause more damage at the behest of the country.
There is nothing that we are doing wrong. In fact, I actually want to wonder, and I wonder, how can Kenyans, there is one fact that never dies in this world. From the day the world was created until the day the world will be over, and that is the truth. It will never die. Why would someone, and why would people of our age today imagine that a person of the caliber and the age and the experience of Raila Amolo Odinga would be wasting his time wanting to lie in Kenya? Surely that man has been in the trenches fighting for everything that we have. He's been literally fighting from the day of Kanu until today. We have a constitution which we all regard to him. We have a multipartyism which we all regard to him. Why would he today lie at his age? Do you know, the reality is this: this man has not just won elections twice. He is actually more than a Kenyan president. He could qualify for an African president. But the fact is this: even if he did not lead anybody, he has made his name. So why would we lie? Why would we say that a man of his caliber?
We should use are the ones that determined.
Why would he waste his time to want to enchant people whom he calls his sons or his children? He wouldn't do that. And the other matter is this: at his level, at his age actually teaches wisdom. At my age today, I'm learning very carefully never to do anything that will boomerang on my name or my children. Can you imagine at his age? He can never, I told you one time that there is one serious fact I've known about Raila. He will never say anything that he doesn't have facts. Now, let me go back to this saying that the opposition will chance. If indeed the opposition will chance, we have actually said, if people have facts about the opposition or about this man, our president, the president of the people of Kenya, Raila Amolo Odinga, if they have facts, can they take him to court? Can they jail him?
Okay.
If they have facts concerning the green, this function that he says that Beatrice, it's so unfortunate. I even feel sad that a whole senator like her can say that Raila had an intention. There is no fact, because that is why they are not able to jail him. But can I tell you something? He actually attended that function and spoke on the invitation of the government. Like Senator Lonyangapuo says, when you are in government today, you don't sit folding your hands so that you will not be questioned tomorrow. Raila did his job as a coalition partner. And this thing of defense mechanism, of always loading back problems, like what she's now trying to tell us, that Treasury and Central Bank have done their part, the people who should be blamed are ministries. That is what we call defense mechanisms. Par excellence, a failure in totality. The people that should, the backstops are Treasury and Central Bank concerning Eurobond. And concerning this problem of Eurobond, we cannot go back and start digging at Raila came to this function. He was invited. It was a government function. If he was not invited,
Senator
he could not have
Beatrice,
spoken. So can Jubilee please stop lying and playing drama like young children?
Senator Beatrice Elachi, is it just a bag of lies? Are there facts? And your response to Olga?
Well, I want to thank Olga. Today she has told us very well, a man of wisdom, a man of his age, and therefore he's also dealing with his children who are now adults. And they are trying to say, Dad, look, the things you did that time are the things affecting us now. So we have to deal with them. When he was in office, some of the effects we feel are the same. We are dealing with them now. And so all we are saying, and we want to tell Kenyans, is that if indeed the former Prime Minister has the facts, put them on the table, tell Kenyans, here are the facts. These are the people. Go for their accounts. Check. You'll have helped Kenyans. As a man of wisdom, within his age, that is all he needs. In fact, he doesn't need to really fight it every day and talk about it to his children. What he needs to do is come out and present it as a father and say, look here, these are the facts. We don't need to go far.
Ogla, and I come back to you, and given that he is a politician, and of course we do know that his ambition, he would want to lead this country, and for good reasons, we believe.
In 2017, he's leading Kenya. We may not even reach there.
That is speculation, and we cannot justify that. But at the end of the day, he is a politician. We cannot ignore the fact that he is a politician, and he has political ambition. So that cannot be played without and say that the presidency was stolen. Yet the very institutions that you're talking about to answer are the ones that answered.
Mike, let me ask a question. Do politicians, even the ones we have here, and myself, seek for elective positions to use it to fight other politicians, or do they seek for elective positions because they feel they have a calling and a passion to transform Kenya?
I think that could be interpreted individually.
Yes, individually. But the whole, we have to believe that everyone seeks position. I'm sure even for Beatrice today, if she was told she's in power to be able to abuse other people, she will say, let it stay. Because I'm sure you are in leadership position, even you in your job, you seek it to impact society and to transform society. If you have nothing to add, you don't seek. So is it illegal? Is it sinful? Is it wrong for Raila Amolo Odinga to aspire to lead Kenya so that he can transform Kenya? It is not wrong, isn't it?
No,
so because it is not wrong, why must we root everything that he says to his aspirations to lead Kenya? He is seeking to lead Kenya because he feels he has a solution to these problems.
Absolutely, but we're not saying that we are pegging everything to his aspirations. All we're saying is, can we separate the politics and the facts? That's all we're saying.
Who is to separate?
Yeah, I agree with you, Michael. We are not here to campaign for Raila.
Yeah.
We are not here to campaign for him because we have a leadership in place. And there will be a time when he wants to, or he will be allowed, if he wants, to offer his candidature. But I have a problem in this, that even the same opposition, they went into slumber for 2 years, 2013, 2014. Now 2015 is here. Any opportunity they have, they want to present, which is allowed. But I also have issues previously. And you will go back to realize this constitution disabled opposition in a way, because the leaders of the opposition who are all out of parliament. If we had Raila and Kalonzo and others in parliament, either National Assembly or Senate, some of these issues which they carried forward would have been dealt with there. Now, their membership is asleep properly in Senate and the National Assembly. They have to rush back and look for people who are outside the system. So to me, we need to amend this electoral law, which enables the president to stand. You should be allowed to stand also as a member of parliament. so that should you fail to get the presidency, your ideas and agenda walks with you to the house. And then you check your opponent